Hi, I'm Christine O'Neill. I'd like to welcome you to my virtual painting class. Even though I'd rather be teaching you in person, I feel honored just the same to be teaching you and being a part of your painting experience. Today, I'll be teaching you how to do the welcome circle, which is in the background. The first step to any good painting experience is to have all your painting tools handy. The first thing you'll need is your canvas, a plate to put your paints on, your base coat brush, a flat brush and a liner brush, Q-tips, a pencil, a clean glass of water or a dish of water, a circular object so you can put it into the center of your board to dry out where you're going to put your flowers, and your paints for your project. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is take your base coat color, which I used a black. You can use any color if you like, but the darker the color background, the better your flowers are going to pop. So the first thing you do is pour out your paint for your base coat. Now you're going to have your water handy. Your glass of water. So I'm going to move the video so you guys can see hands-on of what I'm going to be doing. So the first thing you're going to do is add water to your paint. Now you don't want it too runny, but you don't want it too thick. And the reason why we're adding water to your paint, your base coat paint, is so it'll glide easier on your canvas. So set that to your side. And what you do is you start in the corner and you glide the paint back and forth to cover your entire canvas. So you keep going. Now the trick is, when you get to paint your canvas for your base coat, you will want to put a lot of paint, but not too much that you don't want it, it's called mudding. You don't want it to be muddled. You don't want it like this. You don't want big lumps of paint. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to keep pushing that paint across your canvas. And the trick is to have your paint just a little tiny bit watered down. You might have to keep adding water to your base coat paint color to keep it smoothing, because if not, you'll get it that's too thick and it won't go as smooth. So you cover your whole entire project. Your canvas, sorry. You go back and forth. Now, when you are doing your painting, it's going to dry fairly quickly because of the watered down paint. And what you want to do is keep the brush strokes going all the way across your entire canvas. Don't stop in between, because I don't know if you can see it on the video, but right here, it looks like the brush stopped. You don't want that. So you want to keep going back and forth, really good and smooth. Now, if you find that your brush is not gliding like this, you don't have enough water in your paint. So you get that side done. You do your edges. Add a little tiny bit more water if you need it. Keep going back and forth until you cover all your painting surface. You do each corner and each edging of your canvas. See, just really nice and covered. Try not to leave any white spots. You keep adding water to your paint and keep going until you cover your entire surface. And make sure you do nice broad brush strokes all the way across, back, forth, back, forth. You turn your canvas over. Make sure you do all your edging. I need a little bit more paint because I don't have enough out. Add a bit more water to it. Now, don't forget to make sure that you cover underneath your canvas that you're not getting paint everywhere. You don't want to make a mess So you keep covering your canvas. Keep adding a bit of water to your paint. Keep covering it. Now, I'm used to painting, that's why I can go fast, but you take your time so you make sure that you do a very good job. So you keep going back and forth. Keep adding a bit of water, not too much. Now, if you put too much water in your paint, don't worry. Just add a little tiny bit more paint. And if you have too much paint in the end, you can put it back into your bottle so you're not wasting your paint. So keep covering your paint, your canvas. Make sure it's good and covered. Make sure you do really good broad strokes while that canvas is wet. Go back and forth, make sure that it's quite covered, that you don't leave any brush strokes. Do your edging, make sure everything is good and covered. Now, while you are doing this, when you're doing, at the end I mean, all you have to do if you are in a hurry to get your canvas dry, you can have a blow dryer handy and you can blow dry your canvas to make the drying time go a little bit faster. Or if you want to, you can let it dry, air dry if you don't have a blow dryer. Now, since that's all good and covered, put your brush away. So see, the canvas is all nicely covered. Now, I'm going to cheat because I have a couple canvases already painted so I can keep going with my video. So, the next step is to make sure you have your circular object handy. Now, I used a container cover, so you can use anything. You can use a plate, you can use a bowl, whatever you see fit to make a circle. Now, I chose this, it's about a 6-inch diameter. You can do 8, 4, whatever size of circle you want, but don't forget, you want to put the word welcome right here, so you can have the word welcome in the center of your circle, because it's called a welcome circle. So, now the next step is to make sure that you put it in the center of your canvas. It doesn't have to be right perfect, but eye it up. If you want to, you can take a measuring tape and measure from here to here, here to here, each side, each end, to make sure that it is completely in the center. But I have a pretty good eye. I'm used to doing this. So I'm going to take your pencil, your circular object, put it on to a dry canvas. Make sure your canvas is really, really good and dry, because if not, your pencil mark will not show. So I'm going to take and not press too hard, because you can poke it through your canvas. So go back and forth a few times. Go all the way around your circular object. And I will show you, pop that off. You set that aside because you're not going to need that anymore. And I hope you can see it. See the circle? That is going to be your base of where you're going to put your leaves and your flowers. So the next step, you might need another plate, or you might need just to take and clean off your plate while you're waiting for your canvas to dry as well. So the next step is you're going to need 2 colors for your green. Now don't freak out if you don't have 2 colors for your greens. What you can do is use your darker green and add a bit of white to it to make a lighter color. Okay, so you can cheat. You don't need to go and buy 2 different colors of green. Just remember to always buy a darker green so you can lighten it up to make 2 different tones of green, because what we're going to be doing is painting 2 different colors of leaves. There's your lighter green and there's your darker green. Okay? So the paintbrush that you're going to be using is your flat paintbrush. So you shake up your paint really, really good. I usually start off with my lighter green, but you don't have to. And if you don't want to put 2 different colors of green, if you want to put the same green all the way around your circle, you're more than welcome to. So you pour out a little bit of paint. Now remember, add just a touch of water to your paintbrush. It's not running or anything. You just, not running out your hand, I mean. onto your hand. You just put a little tiny bit of paint, water into your paintbrush, into your paint, and you stir that around. Now, the trick is to making a leaf. I'm going to show you on this canvas so you can see. Now, I'm making this leaf really, really big so you can tell how to do it. So, now I'm going to put it closer to the video, and you just push your paintbrush down, and like that. Now, if you can't make leaves like that, don't worry, because you can just use the edge of your paintbrush, draw your leaf, and fill it in. Okay, so, and then all you have to do is go back over it and take your edge of your brush. See, you can use the edging of your brush to make the point of the leaf. So you want to make that point of the leaf, that's all you have to do, is draw it out with your paintbrush. Now you can make big leaves, small leaves, whatever size of leaves you want, because it's your project. I did small leaves and big leaves. Bigger leaf, smaller leaf, it's up to you. It's your project. So the first thing you're going to do is load your paintbrush, add a little tiny bit of water, not as much as your base coating paint color, but a little tiny bit. Okay, so load your brush. Now, the trick is to put a leaf here and a leaf right directly across on the other side of the circle, and keep going across, back and forth to each side of your circle. So if you want to, if you're not too sure of how to draw a leaf, you can take your pencil and draw a leaf on. See? You can draw leaves wherever you want. Okay, so one leaf here, one leaf there, and just keep going across from each other. So it's almost like the hands of a clock would point to the 12, the 2, whatever. You just keep going. And you can add leaves wherever you want. So if you're really good at doing them with the paintbrush, you can fill in your leaf. Fill in your leaf. Now, no two leaves are the same in nature, and no two leaves are going to be the same in your painting. Remember that. Every leaf is different. You can put as many leaves as you want of each color. I'm just going to put them wherever I think I want my leaf to be, so you can add wherever you want your leaves to be. Now I'm going to put a little bit more lighter ones on this one, just so you can see how vibrant they are. Now, on my painting that I have already got done, you can see that I have more darker green than I do lighter green. But this one, I'm going to do lighter green because I feel like lighter green today. So you just add a few leaves here and there. Small ones, big ones, all the way around. And I'm going to do one more up here. Okay? And one more there. So, you rinse out your brush. And I have an old painting cloth, but you can use paper towel or an old cloth. Just make sure that it's an old one because it's going to get runtus, but you can rewash them. Then you're going to take your darker green. Now if you want to make sure that you don't smudge these leaves, you can leave it set for a few minutes or use your blow dryer and dry them if you're in a hurry. Now you're going to mix your green with just a touch of water to make it a bit more thinner consistency. Then you take and add your green leaves, your darker ones. Now don't forget, if you have a hard time forming a leaf, you can take and draw them out. You don't have to do it just with your paintbrush. You can take and draw them out with your pencil and then fill them in with your paintbrush. And just remember, no two leaves are the same. Now this is just the first base coat of the leaf. We're going to have to add a little tiny bit more paint to the green ones because you want them to be popping from your canvas. Now I had put more of the lighter green, but on this one I had put the darker green, so it's up to you if you want darker green or lighter green. Well, that's not great. Okay. Give you a laugh anyways, my canvas going flying. Okay, add a little tiny bit more and you let it dry. So while that is drying, before we add paint to our green again, I'm going to show you on this canvas how to do a leaf again. Okay, so all you do is draw it with your paintbrush first and fill in the center. So there's this is called a flat brush, and there's an edging. So that edge will give you the use of it to draw out your paint, to make it form into a leaf. So just remember, you don't go flat, okay? You don't do that, okay? Because it's going to be too big and it won't look like a leaf, because if you go like that, see? So you just take your flat end of your brush and press easily to form your leaf, and then fill it out. Okay, so we're going to let those dry. Now, while you're letting that green dry for your paint, for your leaf, sorry, shake your two colors for your flowers. I picked 2 different shades of pink. Now again, if you don't have 2 different shades of pink, take your darker color, add a bit of white to it, you will get your lighter pink. So if you don't want to go and buy a whole whack of paint, you can cheat and add your white paint to it to make it a little lighter. Or if you have ivory colored paint, you can take and add ivory to it as well. Now you're going to need 2 different colors of your pink for your flowers. Now, it is going to be done with the tip of your finger. So what you do, I'm going to show you on this canvas why mine is drying. So you add a bit of pink to the tip of your finger. Then on the corner of your finger, add a bit of lighter pink. So see? 2 different shades on my finger. And what you're going to do is press it down a couple times onto your plate to kind of mix those 2 colors together. Okay? Hopefully you can see. And if it's not 2 different colors, just add a bit more lighter pink. And all you do to make your flowers, now here's the finished product. So this is all you do. Is you press down your finger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you let that dry, and then we'll be doing the centers, but this, first of all, we're doing the pink. So I'm going to show you here why I'm waiting for the green to dry so you'll be ready to do your flowers later. So you just go 1, keep adding. You might have to add just a touch of water to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now sometimes they don't cover real good, so you might have to press them again. Keep pressing them. So with your finger, just add a bit of paint. Press until you get 5 petals. So again, you add a bit of pink bit of lighter pink, mix it together. Take your canvas and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't worry if they're not covered real good, because you can keep adding your paint. Mix it a bit together and just keep going over them until you get them covered. Now, if you want to practice, you can take a piece of paper and practice on a paper until you get your petals down. So we'll let that dry. Now we're going to go back, make sure your green leaves, your darker green leaves, are covered. So we fill them over one more time. Now remember, no two leaves are the same, even in nature. And keep going around, making sure that your darker green is good and covered. Hopefully you're enjoying the video, and I hope you're having lots of fun learning how to paint the welcome circle. Too bad we couldn't do this in person, but hopefully someday soon we will, when COVID is all over. So my dark green is looking pretty covered. So remember, this is our finished product. So while our paint is drying, now you can put as many pink flowers or whatever color flower that you're using. You can use whatever color paint, whatever kind or color paint, it's a two-tone. And I used pink because I find on the darker color it pops more with the yellow. So now while we're waiting for our main canvas to dry, our pink flowers are pretty well dry. So I have yellow. Now you can use any color for the center you want. Shake it up, put it on your plate. Make sure your finger is good and clean so you don't have pink coming through your yellow. Now, you just take your yellow, and now when you load your finger for your paint for the center, don't put too much paint on your finger. Kind of press it down a couple times on your plate or on a piece of paper so you make sure you don't get too much paint in the center. And all you do is press it down. And that's the center. Now if you find that it's not covered, I didn't find that this one covered so good, so I'm just going to add a bit more paint to my finger and go over the top of it. And that's how you do your flower. It's pretty easy. And who would think that you'd be finger painting again, eh? So I am ready to go ahead and do my flowers. Again, I'm going to put the paint there so you can see. There's a darker pink and a lighter pink, and that's my mixed color. So I add a tiny bit of water to my finger, press down into my pink and to my lighter pink, and press down until you get two tones. It's almost like marble look. I don't know, hopefully you can see it on the, right there. So you just go darker pink, lighter pink, mix it, and you get two tone. So this is what it's going to look like when it's done. Okay? So now, again, you can take and put a flower here and a flower here. So 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And then you can go 1 o'clock, do it at every hour if you want, or however many flowers that you want. So it's not completely across, but you can put wherever you want. You can put as many flowers as you want. So I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but you can put like little ones because you can use whatever finger you want, because you can use a little one or your bigger finger to make as many different sizes as you want. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to my paint to make sure that it is translucent enough so it'll cover. So I'm going to start at 12, kind of like at 12 o'clock, a little bit over because I have a leaf there. So 1, 2, now you can go right over the top of your leaves to hide a bit of your leaf. So see on my canvas it didn't really cover that good, so I'm going to add more paint to my finger and keep covering it until I get a full petal. Okay? So add a little bit more water to your paint to make sure that it's translucent enough. Keep adding the 2 colors, and you can go right down from it. Until you form 5 petals. Now if you're scared of ruining your flower by hitting it, you can dry it with your blow dryer, or you can keep going, just go across from one another. Add a little bit more water, not too much, it's not dripping, just add it a little tiny bit, and you can keep adding your colors together. Keep mixing your colors, and you can make them as light as you want or as dark as you want. And don't worry about going over your leaves, because in a real bouquet, flowers cover leaves, remember? So to make sure that you don't hit your other flowers while they're still wet, just move your canvas around so you're not going to hit them. Now you might have to keep adding a little tiny bit of water to your paint, again to make sure that they cover really good. Just don't forget to use both colors of pink, or whatever color that you're doing. Make sure you have 2 different shades. And you keep, just remember, every flower is different. They all don't have to be completely the same. There. See how it's all different? Now, clean off your finger. So you're going to let that dry, but I'm used to painting. But if you're smart, take your blow dryer or let it dry, take a break. And then we're going to take our yellow, same finger, or you can make it with your smaller finger, and hit the yellow in the middle of each flower. See? Take your cloth, clean off your finger again. Now the next step is to taking your Q-tip and making the little tiny yellow flowers. And all that is dipping your Q-tip into your yellow and dotting it on to your canvas. So you take your Q-tip, you dip it into your water, okay? because that makes the paint adhere to it better. Take your Q-tip, wipe it off hard so it's not dripping, okay? So it's not really wet, but it's still damp, okay? So you take your yellow paint, and that's the end of your Q-tip. Hopefully you can see it. I'll put it up against the black so hopefully you can see it better. Then all you do, now, I put them all over the place. You can put them wherever you feel that you want them, and all you have to do is, if you want some in between each, just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and add one in the center to make it like a little group. Wherever you want, how many circles you want to add to it. I put 3 there. Keep adding yellow paint. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can put one here and there. This is the fun part about painting. It's your painting. You can do whatever you want. You can put as many flowers as you want. If you only wanted 4 pink ones, put 4 pink ones. It's whatever you want to do. So you just keep dabbing some yellow to fill it all in. Okay, so see, I have yellow, yellow in between each pink one. Now you're going to need white paint. Shake that really good. Make sure, if you want to, if you're smart, before you do all your paintings, is take and shake all your paint up, the ones that you're going to use, to make sure that they're really good and shook. Because if not, it's almost like a watery substance forms on the top of your paint. And if you don't mix it, that's what comes out first. So mix up your paints really, really good. Make sure they're mixed really good. Now, you're going to take the end of your flat brush. Okay, so you're going to use the end. See, I already have paint on it because I use it a lot. So it's your flat brush, and it's the end, and it's to make these white dots. That is your baby's breath. So see how it is in groups? So what you do is you dip your paintbrush, your bottom of your paintbrush in white paint, and you just dab it to make little ones and big ones. So again, you take end of your brush, end of your flat brush, dip it into the white. Make sure it's good and covered. But you don't want it like that. You just want it just enough to make some dots. So you can, again, it's your painting. You could put the dots wherever you want. So you just keep dabbing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, until you have no more paint left on the bottom of your paintbrush. You can keep adding it to make a bit bigger ones at the base of it, and then make the smaller ones. Okay, so hopefully you can see really good, and you just make it until you have no more paintbrush, no more paint on your paintbrush. So see, you dab it, dab it, dab it. Now again, if you want to make sure you know how to do them, you can practice on a piece of paper with your white paint to make sure you get them down pat before you add them to your painting. So you keep adding them wherever you see fit. I'm just going around and I'm going to take and fill in the bare spots. Now another trick is to make sure you go one way and the other. So I'm going to put some here, so I'm going to go this way with it. Okay? Again, you can keep dipping your paintbrush into the paint too, to make bigger dots at the base of it. So you go all the way around your canvas. Put whatever amount, however many you want to add to fill into your painting. Just remember, your painting, your ideas. You can put more flowers if you wanted to. You can put more yellow flowers if you wanted to. Whatever. You can even take and add more color flowers if you wanted to. I tried to make it easier for everyone so you could see where the flowers are today. So you make them go one way, you make them go another way, keep filling it in. So I'm dipping my paintbrush, taking it and adding the baby's breath wherever I want to today. You can make small groups and big groups. So I hope you can see where I put it in. So here's some whites all over the place. I think I'm going to add a bit more to this section because it's kind of bare there. Okay, so clean off the end of your paintbrush. Now, the next step is to write the welcome sign in the, or the welcome word in the middle. It's pretty straightforward, and what you're going to be doing it with is your liner brush. See? It's a long bristled brush that's pointed into a point, and that's what's going to be forming your letters. Now, where this is still wet, I would take and I would let it dry completely, because if you hit these dots of your baby's breath and flowers, it's going to smudge it. Okay? But like I said, I'm used to painting, but I highly suggest that you let it dry. Okay? So you still have white paint. So the next step is to do your welcome. If you have a hard time painting with your liner brush, I suggest that you take and practice on a piece of paper with it, or a piece of wax paper. Just take and add a bit of water to your paint. So, a bit of water to your paint, stir it around. You want it the consistency of thick cream. Okay? So not like milk, not like water, but a real heavy cream. Almost not as thick as pudding, but a bit runnier than pudding, almost like a runny pudding, okay? So you want it that it's really not too much water, but you want to be able to spin your brush in it. If you took this here, it's too thick to spin in, so you want it to water down paint. So to form your paintbrush back to that point, you put your paintbrush into the paint and you just roll it. Okay, so I'm going to show you on the back of my hand because it's hard to see on a white. So say this is my paint. Okay, I put water into the paint, so I dip water, stir it around, and you take and roll your brush back and forth and pull it out of the paint so it forms that point again. See? So that is going to be what you're going to be doing your welcome word in. Okay? So if you have a hard time just freehanding it, I suggest that you let this dry really, really good, and then write the word across the middle, or up and down, whatever way you want, because it's your painting, and put the word welcome right across or up and down, whatever way you want, or you could put home sweet home, whatever little saying that you want in the center of your welcome circle. Okay? So I'm used to painting, so I'm going to just freehand. Don't forget to add a bit of water to your paint, because it always makes it glides across your canvas a lot easier. Now, you take and write the word welcome. You start with your W. You might have to keep adding paint to your brush to make it glide. Now you can do your lettering as big as you want, or as skinny little letters as you want. It's up to you. There's the W. Okay? Add more paint. Don't forget to roll your paintbrush to make it that point. And put an E. See how you do your E in steps? And then your L. Now I'm going to have to add a bit more water to my brush. Then I'm going to put the letter C. So I do a dot there and I bring it around. Don't press too hard on your brush, because the harder you press, the thicker your letter is going to be. Your O, and it's done in 2 steps, or I have many steps as you want to cover your letter. Your M. Now see, I'm kind of just using the tip of my brush, okay? And then your E. So you do that part of your E, the right side of the hump, and then you do the left side of the hump, bring it down and bring it back up and go across. Okay? So I'm going to show you on this here. So I'm going to add a bit of water to my paint. So a bit of water to my paint. Make it a bit more translucent so it's easier to glide across your canvas. Roll your paintbrush so you get that point. That's the tip that you want to make your letters. So now if you press hard, this is how wide you're going to get it. Okay? So what your trick is you just want to use the tip. So you can practice, get a piece of paper or construction paper, practice just ever so lightly pressing your paintbrush to the canvas. Just remember, the thicker the stroke, the pressure, the thicker the stroke. Okay, so you want it just ever so thick. So you take and you write the word welcome. Okay, you can do it. You can either do your E's like that, or you can do your E's in capitals. It's up to you. It's your painting. So I'm going to do it in capitals here, just so you can see the difference. It's E-L. And you add your C. Now don't forget, you might have to keep adding water to your paint to make sure that it glides until you get used to the consistency that you need. O. Then a capital M. And a capital E. So there's your welcome. Now I done the first project with the capital W in all small letters. It's up to you, and again, you could even add the welcome up a bit and put welcome to, my last name is O'Neill, so I'll put welcome to the O'Neills, or you can put home sweet home, whatever little saying that you want in the center. And if you are not used to painting, take your pencil and draw it on first, and then you can just copy it with your paintbrush. Just remember, whenever you do your painting for your lining, is always add a bit of water to your paint, stir it around. Now if you find that you have too much paint on your brush, just take your cloth, wipe it off, add your paint into the water, or your paintbrush into the watered down paint. Keep rolling your paintbrush to get that fine point, and that's what you need to do your lining work with. Now, at the very end of your painting, when it's all good and dry and that you're really happy with how it turned out, you take and you add water to your paintbrush or your paint, spin it around to get that point, and you can add your name to the corner. So I'm going to put C. I always put my initial, C, and then put O'Neill. Now you don't have to be real neat. You can make it a kind of messy like the artists in the world do, or you can do it that you can read it. So that's up to you, and I hope that you enjoyed the painting class with me, and hopefully I get to teach you in person someday. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye.